psychologist, and he developed this program, the Optimum Performance Program in sports. We call it TOPS, and it was funded by NIH, National Institutes of Health, and it was developed at UNLV, and it is an internationally used program, and we work together to disseminate that to different, both here locally and nationally. Dr. Donahue was also a national champion boxer, and I would like to be one of the first to publicly announce that he has received the Distinguished Scientist Practitioner Award from the Association for Applied Sports Psychologists for 2025. He will be officially receiving that award in Canada, where ASP will be having their conference in October. So we're very proud of that. And I'd also like to give a special thank you to Cassie Rice. She is such an advocate for mental wellness, for her staff, for her coaches, for the teachers, and for the athletes. We've really enjoyed having a partnership with her, and we plan on continuing that and reaching out and helping all of you. So whether you are a staff, yes, Cassie. In fact, Cassie really helped us today. She told us what she worked with us and let us know what she would like from the program today. So we developed that with her. And so this is customized for you. So whether you've been in one of our workshops before, coaches and athletes, you are going to see something new today, and we're hoping that you can bring away some skills right away. The curriculum here today is going to be all about a positive, optimal culture, and we are going to bring the same messaging to you as staff, teachers, and coaches to the parents later, and then the parents with their athletes. So everyone will be getting the same messaging, but through their perspective. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Donahue officially and have him get us kicked off. The more we're going to be asking for participants, so don't be shy. We'll be doing some role plays up here, and then you'll be working in dyads too with some of the work. If you don't have a handout, there's some in the back for you. We have some up here, pens, notebooks, everything that you need to get started. All right, Dr. Donahue, take it away.
Thanks, Kristin. So basically, we're really excited about today. Obviously, it's been the first time in a while since we've done coaching workshops. So this is going to be really fantastic because it's like a fast forward. We'll present some information after we get the examples from you, and then we'll just practice some basic routines. They're going to seem simplified, but they're actually quite advanced in the sense that, you know, they have a big impact. And they're also founded by research and our scientific studies with the NIH, but also in applied settings as well, with various groups that we've implemented these workshops, gotten feedback, made adjustments, and things like that. So the first one that we're going to do is basically trying to create a culture where kids are first, right after their performance, start to examine the positive things that they did from whatever that performance may have been, and then start to think about what they could do to optimize it afterwards. And when you think about optimization, there's an importance in understanding the kind of like what the definition is. So we perceive optimization as basically doing, thinking, or perceiving in the best possible way, given your resources, your current skills, and the demands that are upon you. And if you think about it in that way, it basically makes an even playing field for everybody. So everybody's going to be at a different level, a different benchmark starting off. And so what we want them to do is think about the things that relative to how they can perform, we want them emphasizing the positive. And so how do we do that? The first thing I wanted to do was, first off, get your thoughts about typical responses that you receive from kids, after they perform. And so what would those kind of responses be? And we're going to later talk about how we might manage that.
I have a lot of kids that the first response that they give me is about how either physically or mentally strenuous that task was. Where their first thought is like, oh, that was so hard, or that was so tiring, or I'm exhausted, or something like that.
Okay, that's what you'd like.
Is that what I would like? No, that's what happened.
That's what happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
So give me that, just the last part that you said. You summarized it very nicely.
So they just say the physical or aspect first, rather like how difficult it was, rather than the like positive side.
Oh, okay. So they're going to the difficulty.
Yeah.
So just as an example, it's important to understand where that's coming from. Just in your own opinion, why do you think that they would come up with how difficult that would be? What do you think's going on in their mind that they would feel that they had to communicate that to you?
That they're trying their best.
Yeah, very good.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and to also, would you say, leave it as a scapegoat, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a difficult task, so if you're gonna evaluate me, you should know that that was a difficult task. That's essentially what they're telling you, right?
Yeah.
Very good, excellent. What other kind of responses?
I get a lot of kids that like after they complete something, they'll be like, oh well, I promise like today was just a bad day. I usually can do it much better than this, or oh yeah, like I know how to do this. I know I'm not getting it, but like it's usually a lot of justification for why.
Outstanding. Yeah, and that's a fascinating one too, because there's two things that come to my mind. The first is that they want to impress you, which means that you've got a good rapport with them. It means that they feel it's important for you to think highly of them. So that's the first thing, and that's a great thing to have, right? But unfortunately, what that does though is it interferes with their processes, right? Like their focus on the processes. So what we really want to do, right, is for them to come up to you, even though they would love to impress you. We want them not thinking about the evaluation points. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So we're going to have to address that too, and I think that's going to be a common thing that we'll see with a lot of you. Very good, thank you. What other things?
Well, for me, I feel like we're correcting them a lot.
Mhm.
So sometimes they'll be like, oh, I felt like I need to squeeze my legs more. I'll do it next time.
Okay.
So it's a lot of like them feeling it and trying to be like, oh, wait, I can do this. I got this. Like next time I'll have straighter legs. I can feel it.
Right, so would you say that you can kind of relate with what was
Yeah.
earlier said? Okay,
Yeah.
outstanding, so you're getting that too. Any other thoughts?
Always see the bathroom.
Yeah, very good. So, give me an example.
I made the one before, you always see the bathroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so and that's another one. Now, just to kind of flip it, and these are common, there's no question about it. Any kind of thing where there's subjectivity, there's judgment, there's evaluation, we're gonna see these kind of things happen. And but I was also curious, what kind of responses have you seen that you desire? Like, have you ever seen, like an athlete after the performance, they come up to you and they say the things that you'd be like, wow, that was excellent. I wish all my athletes would respond that way. Or
Some of my kids, if they had a exceptional turn or they did great or they fixed the corrections that I was asking for, they come up to me, they'll tug on me because I teach a lot of younger kids, so they gotta reach really high. And they'll be like, Coach, I did what you asked and I fixed it and it feels great, or something along those lines, where they're like, I'm glad that I fixed the thing that you asked me to
Yeah.
do, or they're just proud that they did a good job.
well, you're on fire today. So I think that's really important too, right? Is that now we see a kind of an offshoot of what was spoken as well, in that now they feel that they want you to know that they fixed that. So it's that same thing. They're looking to impress you and whatnot. So what we really want, right, is to shift that focus to them wanting to do it for themselves. And so, given all of what you've been saying, this is kind of leading into what we're going to do to do the first skill set. And Kristin's going to take you through this, but basically, if you look down there, I'll just kind of introduce the concept. Is that we have a thing, and we're going to just kind of call it approach the coach. And this is the skill set that we want the kids to do when they come up to you. And you're going to look at these first 4 steps, and you're going to see obviously the first 2 are relevant to what you would like the kids to say, and then the second 2 are going to be your response. Now, the thing is, it's always harder to change a negative behavior after the negative behavior has been exhibited. Right. So like, imagine like they say like what Cassie was saying, oh man, that I sucked on that one. Right. Now we've got to correct it, Has anyone ever had anybody also maybe doing the response where they are crying? So they perform, they come up to you and they're crying, right? You've had experienced that. So it's an interesting problem for you, because if you go ahead and you act, kind of cold, and you kind of say, here's what you need to do or whatever, you're ignoring the crying, right? And if you go ahead and you provide that empathy, you're reinforcing the crying. So either way, that's kind of putting you in a rough situation. How are you going to deal with it? The trick is going to be on the prevention end. We want to get it prior to that established that these are the steps that we would like you to do. And in a second, we're actually going to get volunteers up here, and you guys are going to implement these steps, and show how this can be. Now, it's fairly simple, as you can see, but it's incredibly important, and it can be habitual. There's an important theoretically that we want them immediately right after the performance, we want them thinking about what they did right, because that's going to be the thing that they're going to remember most. If they remember the things that they did poorly, or if they think about what they could do in the future too soon, that's going to be the last thing on their mind, and you're going to get chokers. You know that, right? In other words, the last thing they're going to think about is how they screwed up. They're going to carry that forward more than likely, and you don't want that. We want them immediately thinking, I liked this about my performance. I think next time if I make these adjustments, this is going to be more optimal. Coach, what do you think about my performance? Coach responds, I agree with what you're saying. Here's some things I think you could do to optimize. Or the coach is going to say, I liked these things to add to that. I think if you tried out these things, it might add to your repertoire, and that's it. There's a number of things that are going on with that little approach. Sounds simple, but what goes on is it forces the child not to come back to you and say, hey, coach, look how great I did. I did what you said. It says it back to internally, I did this wonderful thing. I think I could do this better, and then you respond back. It puts you in a really great position, because now you're reinforcing an appropriate response. You're reinforcing what you'd probably ideally like them to do. You see the difference? And the best way they can do this is to do it in your gym, for everybody, all at once. Hey, everybody, these are the steps that we'd like to start to do as our culture. Now, you're going to have to manage that a little bit and use your own expertise as far as how you would exactly, help them with that, when it would be that you have the time to have that response. It sounds, really idealistic, and I think it is, but you're going to have to help them to understand when they could come up to you and say that, because you may not have that much time. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice this, but before we do, I want to get your overall thoughts to what I'm saying. Does it make sense? Are there situations where we need to make some adjustments right off the bat? Are there some considerations that we have to think of?
I have
that-
one thing on, some of the people in here don't coach.
Okay.
They're just office staff. So sometimes our feedback is a negative Google review about
Got it.
how they interacted with them. So
Okay.
maybe you can somehow mesh this into that as well.
Let's take an example then of what Cassie was bringing up. Your office staff, let's just say you're dealing with whatever. I give me the appreciation for what you have to go through, and show me how you can make this work for you, or show me how you can make adjustments to it. Anyone? I don't want to put you on the spot.
So are you asking for like a scenario that's?
Yeah, so we can kind of see what kind of adjustments we might have to make.
Like, so somebody might come up and want a certain class and it's not available. Well, it's full. You can't go into that class.
Okay,
And sometimes the way the tone comes across, maybe they think, well, that front desk person isn't trying to help me.
yeah. Okay, very good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try this out first off, just for the coach example,
Okay,
once we get that rolling,
we'll try that.
then I think what'll happen is then everybody will, that's in the office staff is gonna be thinking, oh, okay, I can see how I can apply that.
Okay.
And then we can do that, or they can make some adjustments. And then the other thing is, we're prepared for this. We have a thing at the end called hurt. And that's when someone's upset. And that one might be the one that might be a little bit more relevant
Perfect.
in that case. Okay, so so just just to kind of catch us up, I was saying, give me some examples of your thoughts about what I'm saying, or let me know what you're thinking.
What about when you have kids who are just kind of quiet and introvert and don't like to speak up, have a hard time talking or expressing themselves? What do you do in that situation?
Well,
Use these things.
yeah. So obviously, well, first off, let me just make sure. Do you think the 4 steps are good in general?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because we have to, that's not a given. It may not be. But let's just assume that it is for the moment. Now you bring up this other program. So, this other problem, and that is, how are we going to get them excited? So how would you do that?
Not excited. I mean,
It-
talk, period. Like, it's after.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe they didn't have such great performance, and so they don't really want to talk about it. They
Yeah.
just need to not say anything right away. And then maybe if a coach is addressing them too fast or talking about it too fast, that could just immediately shut them down even more.
So yeah, so thanks for the clarification. And I would argue that you've been dealing with that for a while. Right? And I would argue, if you're in this room, you've been successful at it. And so I would say, do the things that you feel need to be done to encourage that athlete to do it. I think one thing is going to be certainly, and we're going to role play in a second, just letting the students know that this is what the expectation might be, so that they know what's going on. The second thing would be then the encouragement that I know you're providing to kind of spoon feed, that particular child into feeling confident that whatever they say, you're going to be fine with it. And we're going to use shaping. So the first thing is, when you put anything into place for the first time, you've got to think, and I think you're thinking this through too, is that there might be some shyness to it. There might be some apprehension, because we have just discussed that they're it's very important for them to impress you. And so, this is a new system. Oh my God, what if I say the wrong thing, this and that? And so that's why I say, I think it just goes back to you and your expertise to then, try to make that work. So we've got 4 things here, but that is going to be based on your expertise about how you're able to kind of integrate that into your own current repertoire. So what do you think about my response? Is it okay? Okay. That said, there's a couple of things we do know from research. When students come up to you crying after a performance, why do you think that they would do that?
Because they feel like they let themselves down or they let the coach down.
Yes, very good. So that they could be upset genuinely with what's going on, and someone.
Yeah, I think
Good.
a lot of kids just relate it really their skills like personally with their values, so they may feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so both of those things are kind of like on the same ilk, right? And they're very important and they're true. So now think about it this way. If they were really sad about what's going on, and I think that they are, then they're going to either come up to somebody and they're going to say that they're upset, or they're going to show they're upset, they're going to kick the wall, they're going to do all those kinds of things to communicate that they're upset. Part of that communication is, I know I messed up. I want to punish myself now enough so where everybody else, I don't need any more criticism. I don't need anybody telling me what I'm doing, because right now I'm upset really a lot. And this is the thing we're trying to prevent by doing these steps to get them into that guideline. So they know ahead of time, I'm not going to evaluate your negatives right off the bat. I'm going to first hear what you think is good. I'm going to then hear what you think you can enhance. I'm then going to say what I like about what you're doing. And I may or I may not add something that you could work on. And in those processes, you're going to communicate that idea. So that's the crying. And then the other one is like related to that is anger and upset and things like that. And that's along the same way. They're trying to communicate to you, leave me alone for a second. I don't want the criticism. And quite frankly, we don't want to talk to them during that time because we could actually reinforce that kind of behavior in the future. We're going to be working with the parents from their perspective along the same lines, so that hopefully we get everybody in the same way. Because unfortunately, you might be a victim of circumstance. If a parent goes ahead and does all that reinforcement, they're looking for that reinforcement afterwards. They want, hey, you're okay, you did fine. The problem is when you say it's okay, you did fine, etc., you're reinforcing the things that are going on with the inappropriate, immature, kicking the walls, yelling, and you know what I'm saying? So that's why we want to go with the antecedent, and it's going to be really important not to introduce this concept after they've done that undesired behavior. We want to do it maybe at the start of your practice or that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so any other comments or comments? Those are really good. So
I wanted
let's-
to add one
Yeah.
thing. With the parents, by the way, we're taking out one step. It's called descriptive praise for them, and they're going to have their child just do everything the same, ask them what they did well, ask them what they think they can improve, and then reinforce that, but they're not going to give their opinion on what they can do better because we don't want the parents competing with the coach's message.
we're in fact going to tell them that, getting to kind of piggyback off that, we're going to ask the parents to reinforce them. So on the car ride home, they're getting reinforced. Hey, what did you like about what you did today? And we're going to ask them for 24 hours at least, or until they've talked with their coach. We want them to give that time of just what did you like about what was going on. That's what they're going to solicit. And then after the 24 hours where the coaches talk, then they can go to the next step, which is, hey, what do you think that you could do to optimize after they've expressed what they thought was optimal. So we want to shift that to optimization. Yeah.
Okay.
And believe me, I like as Kristin said, I was a national champion. I got grilled after my bouts, win or lose. I was getting the 3rd degree every damn car ride. Go ahead.
Not so much about the feeling, but like, I mean, how do you relate this to allowing them to have their feelings too? It's okay to be sad, because it is okay for a child to be sad or frustrated themselves. And they do kind of need to express that too. I mean, I'm not saying yelling and kicking and stuff is okay ever, but to feel sad about something, I think also kind of creates desire to do better in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point. So and certainly, I think we're all in this together. We certainly don't want kids feeling they can't express their emotions, and negative ones or positive. But I want to ask you, was there anything in these 4 steps that you see as denying them on their emotions?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I guess like if they are getting teary, I mean, I can see saying starting off with the positive for sure would help. But if you see them really kind of withdrawing more when you're asking them for positive feedback, like where do you, I guess.
So there's a lot of research on it in other areas, not necessarily with athletes per se, but with other kids. That shows that unfortunately, if they are withdrawing, right, or they're sitting there and they're not saying anything, or they're kicking the walls, or they're doing whatever, that if you approach them at that time, you are reinforcing negative expression of the emotion. So it doesn't matter whether you accept them or not, you're reinforcing that kind of response to it. So all I'm saying is, okay, let's create an atmosphere where their immediate reflective thought is, what did I do that I liked? What could I do potentially that I think I could do to enhance my performance? Coach, what do you think? The coach comes back, I like these things. And yeah, I think that's a mature expression there. It completely ignores the emotion. Now, when does the emotion come in? That's after the child starts to feel comfortable, and they will feel comfortable They won't feel that they have to come to the coach for a particular agenda, et cetera. And that's where you all come in with your skill sets. Hey, the other day, here's what's going on. They've already processed that, they've already thought about the positive, et cetera, and you can bring that up, during that time, as you typically would. I'm just saying, we're just going to give a little bit of spacing so that they're learning, these are children typically, they're learning how to express themselves, how to look at sport and carry that on to life. Would you think that that's okay? Okay, beautiful.
I have something sort of related, which is how, or do you have any tips or advice on how to balance the child expressing their emotions, whether it be negative or positive? Mostly, let's say in the negative sense here, how do you balance that between that showing the other kids that it's acceptable to act that way? Because I feel like if you let the child have their I don't want to say tantrum, but you kind of get what I mean in that aspect. But if they're feeling those emotions, which is very important, how can you relate that to the other children to be like, hey, that's not an acceptable behavior, but it's okay to feel that way. I feel like it's a slippery slope between going to that child that is feeling upset too quickly, but not fast enough where the other children feel that if they're throwing a tantrum, they're not going to get any sort of response, and they can do that. Nobody's gonna, I guess.
I think we got to look at we've got to look at the tenets of positive psychology, and that being that no one wants to feel upset, negative emotion, etc., and no one wants to feel isolated. This is a thing that is a welcoming. Hey, when you screw up, when you do well, I want you coming to me, and I want us celebrating the things that I like, but I also want you kind of focused on what's the next thing that you're going to do. And then there's plenty of opportunities, to make those opportunities to build that relationship, that rapport, their trust to come to you with the things that they're experiencing. The kids are going to watch those interactions, believe me. The first time that first kid comes up and and says, hey, I like this, and I think I could do this a little bit different. Well, what I like this, and whether you even come up with the next one or not will be your decision. But those kids are going to see that, and then you're like, oh, so this is the culture of this gym. We emphasize the things that are going on. We don't judge ourselves negatively. We won't criticize prematurely. We're just gonna let that go on, and then we build relationships. And that's where you really have it. I had some trainers, coaches that were, I loved them. Thank God they were in my life. And I talked to them not during or right after the fight about my emotions and who I wanted to ask out as a girlfriend or any of that stuff. I never talked to them about that during that time. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have an opportunity. Now, what do you think I said about that?
Yeah, I think that helps a lot, but it's just like, just make sure you're focusing on the positive aspects, and kids will see that part too, right? Like I don't think I necessarily thought of that.
It'll be your emphasis. It'll be who you are. Like they're gonna revel. They're gonna be like, wow, I love this guy.
So what I'm thinking I'm hearing is tell me if this is right, but in summarizing that, you're not feeding negativity. What they're throwing a temper tantrum, or they're kicking something, or they're feeling really down. You still want to show you care. I want to talk to you, but you need to calm down first, or whatever you want to do, so you don't feed that. And that we start out and try to reframe everything in a positive way, so that it doesn't even get to that in the end. Is that?
Yeah, and it kind of goes into more of what we were thinking about talking about. But I think it has to be said is that you're going to use shaping naturally with your skill set. So the first time, let's imagine the kid goes around kicking things and yelling and screaming. Let's just say that's the kid. We'd all agree that's undesired behavior. So we go through this and everybody's starting to, get in with the plan, so to speak. And this kid does the same thing. And then is it the best time to talk to that kid at that point? Hey, it looks like you're really upset. I'm with you here. Probably not. The kid's already communicating. I don't want to talk to him right now. I'm pissed off. So it's not the time anyway. See? So then when the kid kind of calms down or whatever, then you can come up and you could have that conversation. You can say, listen, I saw that you're upset and whatnot. And you really were expressing yourself and whatnot. And, you know, I wonder if next time, you know, maybe you could, you know, try to optimize it for you. That was the best you could do. And I understand that. And I think, you know, the fact that you're here today, that's beautiful. Good for you. So we descriptively praise the kid for what they did do. You're here, you know, and then we say, hey, next time, what do you think you could do to manage it a little bit better with your anger? You know, so I'm acknowledging the anger, but I'm asking, okay, next time, what do you think you do? So the next time, maybe the kid doesn't kick the wall. The kid goes ahead and just sits there and goes like this. Say, hey, listen, you know, not right then and there, but later on, when the kid's doing desired things, then you approach the kid and say, hey, listen, I saw that you really managed your upset back there. And I just want to say, I was really proud of you. That was fantastic. You know, you really were in on it that way. And then you'll see the kid will watch through modeling and they'll come around, they'll feel confident to come to you when the time is right. And that's, so I'm not, again, I'm not saying, you know, you see what I'm doing?
Yeah,
Okay.
So basically coaches, always are looking at what's negative. Your legs are bent, your arms are bent, you're not doing this, you're not in line. Why are you standing there? What are you doing? Negative, negative, negative. And that's what coaching seems like we do too much of. So if we can reframe it to say what you would like to see in the positive and the way forward.
Yeah, thanks, Cassie. Well, Cassie knows this. I mean, like, the thing is, like, it's harder, and you all know this too, like, it's hard to flip it, especially the young ones. It's easier to think what they did wrong, you know, and then maybe think what's the opposite of that. That's an immature way, but it's a quick way to learn it. But the ideal way is to get them focused on what they liked, and then think what they might be able to do to optimize that further, or you know, kind of go from there. You know, yeah, we don't have much time, so what do you want to do?
Well, what I wanted to just say is that get to a feeling of right before a feeling, there needs to be either a thought or an action or behavior that comes before the feeling. So as soon as we go into a solution generation mode that we're doing with approach the coach, we can really optimize that and have them have more ownership of what they're doing. What I'd like to do right now is have 4 volunteers to come up, and you get to be any age that you would like to. And we're just going to model what it would look like, what you would talk to with a small class, your whole team, whether it's coaches, teaching, and so on. We just need 4 people and come up, and you can be from 3 to 18.
We don't have much time, unfortunately, so
Mhm.
if anyone could just come on up, that'd be awesome.
Yep, come on up.
Get up there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, everybody. If you don't have access to something, just go ahead and ask for access and I will give that to you off my phone. Right now, we're going to go ahead and just do approach the coach and show how you would do this with a small class, with your whole team. You're going to practice first with the athletes to show them how it's done. You'll model and you'll have fun with it. And then then you'll prompt them as you go along during practices. Handouts are here, notebooks, and help us out.
It's like, I'll tell you.
I don't know, what are you, coach?
Okay, we got it. So you guys are gonna do this. So you just leave over here, and coach is gonna tell you Like, you're gonna say about these 4 steps. Okay, everybody, so we're gonna get started. So, we just want to kind of show you how this might actually look. And I spent about 5 seconds here, so you've got a lot of improvising. But one thing I can tell off the top is I said, go ahead and do these 4 steps, blah, blah. We're going over each of the steps. And she says, so I'm going to ask the kids what they thought about the performance. That was the immediate thing. That's what coaches say a lot of times. What did you think about it? I said, no. What did you like about the performance? You see, there's a big difference because they're already going to be primed to give you the negative. So we want to stack the deck that you're going to get the positive to come out. And so this is an important exercise, even though it seems simple. And so she didn't have any time to practice. So we're just going to see how this goes. Whenever you're ready. Let's give her some encouragement. Yeah. All right.
Right. Hey girls, I would like to try this new thing to implement in our gym culture. We haven't done this recently, but I'd like to try doing this from now on. You guys have just done your bar routines, and let me just tell you how this review is gonna go. I'm gonna have you tell me what you liked about your performance, and then you're gonna tell me what you think you can optimize more about your performance. Then I'm gonna tell you what I liked about your performance, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on how you can optimize your performance. Sound good? Splendid. Very good.
Then go ahead and lead them into it.
All right. All right, Desiree, what did you like about your bar routine?
I love that she's already priming herself. She didn't put it in her, and she's going to learn through example now. Beautiful. Good work.
I like my finish.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Desiree, what do you think can be more optimized in your bar?
Maybe my short handstands.
All right. Well,
Make my handstands more vertical.
I would like to make my handstands more vertical.
sounds good. Hey, first of all, I'm really glad that you even noticed that. Okay.
Yeah, very good.
That's really good. That means you're aware of your body and that you know that you can bring it higher. I really liked I liked your finish as well. It's such a bar team. Your layout was very high. Something that I think that can help you in these vertical handstands are these 2 drills that I have set up right over here, conveniently. They help you lean forward from the bar and your handstand stuff to vertical in no time.
Beautiful. Now that was. That's very good. Please wait for coming up. I think we probably won't have time to do. Of course. So everybody, few things I loved about that. You saw she just followed it right to a T. In this case, she had the exercise there. If she didn't have the exercise available, then she would just do it a little bit later, or she'd just give some descriptive praise herself, and it would just go from there. What do y'all think about that? What were some of the things you noticed about what she did that you liked?
I think it was effective in keeping the coach on the right track in terms of helping the student understand what they should be doing moving forwards as well. I feel like it's kind of easy for a coach to maybe get a little bit off confident with that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
that's good.
So you actually saw it as an advantage for the coach to stay
Yes.
focused too.
Mhm.
Very good, thank you.
I just wanted to add that I know that at Gymcats in particular, I've been on the floor with you, and I've seen that there's a lot of recording, there's a lot of phone recording, and so they get that immediate feedback. So even looking at themselves objectively, some of the athletes come around and they're looking for something that's wrong, and you could just prompt them, what did you like about what you did, as they're looking at it. Now they're looking at themselves objectively, and then they can go back and do the correction right away. And also thinking about the staff, you're on the front lines, you're representing your organization. And so even there's a lot of traffic with parents and athletes. So how you represent and how you speak to each other or to them could sound something like this. Hey, what'd you like about your day today? Or what'd you like about your practice? You might be working with a parent, but there's a couple athletes there. You can still say, and what do you think you could do better about it? Or how was your practice? What'd you like about your practice today? It's a culture that we're building throughout the organization, athletes all the way up to coaches and everybody in between, all the stakeholders.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
I know it'd probably get better over time, but at the start, what would you do about people like when you're asking the kids what you like about their day and they say nothing?
Say,
How do you like reframe that? for
Are you
them?
talking about my daughter?
I have a few kids who will do that, and then I'll be like, well, just pick something, and then they will refuse to pick something over and over.
yeah, and so that's also,
I think down learning.
Yep.
But some kids are nervous, they want to see their wrong feet. Depending on how the practice went, maybe it was a hard practice, they're overwhelmed, there's a lot of things that go into it, it's don't speak up.
so
I used to be one of them, very much so.
you're talking about people that shrug or don't answer you at all. They get off, they're doing their giants, they come off the bars and you ask them real quick. Remember, this takes about 10-15 seconds. Hey, what'd you like about what you just did before the next person goes? Because you know, you've got a line of students sometimes in the class. Would you like what you did? And they just say, oh no, nothing. You say, well, would you like me? I'd like to tell you what I like that you did. You just keep going. You ignore the behavior and eventually you're going to keep going. You're not going to wait because again, that withholding is attention seeking. You're just going to keep going. And eventually they'll see you're spending more time with someone who is having that side.
I don't.
Yeah, it could be the culture that's working for them at school, at home. It could be cultural.
Things like there's a pride, and build their confidence, get, those types of things that just shut them down, you know what I mean? Doesn't let them all into.
Go right to 3.
Yeah.
Just go
Okay,
right
so
to
just
3.
switch and say what you think is great,
Yeah.
and then move on. Okay.
And
Well, you could also just repeat the question too.
Mhm.
Put it back on them.
Okay.
The thought would be that the kids basically, like you said, there's just tons of reasons why, but we just want to get them used to it. By the way, if they feel comfortable, you're going to see brainstorming happening. That's what happened, creativity, etc. So it's habitual,
A way that I like kids sometimes if you put them on the spot will not have an answer. So I actually tell them like, would you like to stand to the side to take a second to think about it? Would you like to go to
Great idea.
turn while you think about it? So you can give them an option to like stop and pause and think because maybe they just weren't paying attention on that turn. Maybe
Yeah.
they truly don't know what their body was doing. But giving them the cue to say like, go take a moment to maybe think about it might give them enough time to come up with an answer because
Yeah,
a lot of
that's a
times
beautiful
they're not
point.
being stuck.
Yeah, because it's not a race to get the feedback, so I think that's a beautiful thing. And also that other part where it says about, okay, how could they optimize for the future? That's where that second part's going to now get them focused for the next event or whatever they're going to do. And then it should be that they're paying attention to that. I think you had your hand. Did you have your hand up at one point? Yeah.
I just thought it was good for there to be a balance of like positives and negatives, and then if you enforce the positive first, so when if you enforce the positive first, they won't drown the negative down as bad as like they would think if you were super.
It's fascinating. So you're saying about the 2 steps, the what did you do optimal, what could you do to optimize, and as the negative?
Yeah, like the correction, because they could take like the correction as like it being negative, like they'll think, oh, I didn't do like as good. So when you like put the positive like first, like when you point out what you liked about the performance or what they liked about the performance, it kind of doesn't make it sound as bad to them. Like,
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's fascinating too, because you even looking at that like as a negative, when really it's just, what did you think you could do to optimize it? Like technically it's not really a negative, although it sounds like you've probably experienced this too, where the negatives are coming in and we actually call them negatives or corrections, when in actuality it's just, hey, what can you do to optimize it? So if you start to use that kind of terminology, and we'll be working with the kids about that, hopefully you change the culture, or not necessarily change the culture, but maintain a positive optimization culture.
So due to our time limits, we're going to move on. And I'd like you to just think about how you could present it to your small groups or classes first, and then just repeat it from there. I'd like to jump, Dr. Donahue, to HERD. That would be one that I think that we could use in the office staff on the front lines all the way up through coaches, because that's another one. That's on the bottom of the page, on the bottom of approach to coach. And we use this when dealing with upset. And this is just to help somebody come up with their own solution instead of being told what to do. As we know, as soon as someone goes into a solution generating mode, they get out of that upset. So we have 5 fingers, HEARD. We're going to hear, empathize, ask, review, and then ask them what they have decided to do when they're upset. That could be anywhere from a parent, athlete, fellow coaches, when someone's upset. Would you like
Yeah.
to model it, Dr. Donahue?
I don't think we have time. It's like 3 minutes. So basically, just, you know, when you are working with that one, that's mostly for you use. We have it for parents, but it's also the kids too. And just, you know, kind of use those. I do it myself. Cirque du Soleil had a fatality, a very, very serious, a death of one of their performers. And they liked this one the best because there was a lot of infighting, there was finger pointing, etc. And so I remember the head trainer telling me that what they did was, like, what he did was he would actually have those letters in his head and he's thinking about H. Okay, I'm gonna hear. I gotta focus on hearing. And wouldn't say anything, you're just listening. That's important because you can't do empathy unless you've listened. And then once the person felt that that was okay, then the empathy comes out. They have to be empathized before they can get to the next step, which is problem solving, and that's the solution generation. What do you think we could do to make it better? That's what he would then say. The person goes ahead and says whatever. Then you help to work with them as a coach, what's good and bad about each of those choices that get generated. Okay, what do you want to do? And that's like, there's a lot, and Cassie, I think we've talked about this before. A lot of the kids, the responsibilities have kind of been taken away when parents, coaches, like, well, when we kind of do a lot for the kids today that we didn't used to do. And there's a lot of research to say that they're becoming less independent. So this is a way to get them to say, what would you like to do that? They're going to end up probably going in that direction anyway. But you want them to start thinking, to take ownership. Anything I think.
That's it.
And then the positive request is just that you'll see that in the form. That's just something you can use more formally. It has a lot of the things that you can do in making requests ahead of time for parents in terms of setting guidelines, doing things like that. I think we're out of time.
And positive request is something, if you see something brewing or a potential issue coming up, you can ask for something ahead of time. And that could be, again, fellow employees or parents in the office. And just asking them, and you can go through those steps.
And for the office staff, if you guys want to come up before we have to get to the next one or something, we could answer basic questions. We'd be happy to do it.
On the back, you'll see the
gonna go over
optimization
some.
theory and the triangle, and you'll see non-optimal and optimal thoughts. That's a whole entire workshop. We have events, workshops, individual family meetings. I'm going to leave this clipboard up here. If you haven't signed up and you would like an email from us with training videos, posters, scientific support that we can email to you, we'd be happy to send that to you, and we'll pick this up later this afternoon. We'll leave it up here.
I was Desert Gymcats gymnast mother at Cirque who died. Yeah, one of their athletes' mother was in the show. Horrible.
See here.